Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. We're live for another masterclass session. Today I'm going to be showing power users how to create sci-fi points of interest using the fantasy world style. Now, as you know, Inkarnate does not have a sci-fi world map style. It has a sci-fi battle map style. You can absolutely make a sci-fi style world map using the fantasy world style. You can use the terrain, textures, and stamps, but what you won't be able to do is to have these kind of sci-fi points of interest to kind of go with it, because the style is specifically geared for fantasy. So in this stream, we'll show you how to make sci-fi points of interest for your sci-fi world map. Hey Lilac Lilith, and hey Alice. I'm glad that you're both here. Always nice to see some familiar faces. So we're going to make things such as these world vehicles with the various races: human bombardier cart, an elven tank, a goblin scout, vehicles like the ground vehicles like that. We'll also show you how to create basic settlements like a human or orc settlement, a town, a colony, a space station, whatever it might be. We'll show you how to make those as well. And then we'll also show you how to make airships or spaceships. So that way you can kind of cover all of your bases. So we'll cover all of those and probably more. If any of you have suggestions about sci-fi points of interest that you would like to see made in the stream, feel free to make that suggestion in the chat. And if we don't get around to it in this stream, we'll likely turn this into a full-fledged series. That is, if it gets a lot of love on the YouTube channel. Want to make sure that we're providing content that people want to watch. All right, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. First thing I'll do is I'm just going to go ahead and create a new map. You're going to use the fantasy world style for this. I'm just going to call this sci-fi points of interest, or POIs. We can say 2 because I think there's a couple other ones there. We're going to go with Ultra 4K editing resolution. This way you can see crisp when you're editing. If you have a lower end machine, I would definitely recommend 2 or 3K. And then also, you notice that for some of these maps that I make, you'll notice that I'm using like a grid to create multiple cells to create the POIs in. Let me show how I do that exactly. What I'll do is I'll create a custom one, and then I'll just do 5 by 4. Oopsie, 5 by 4. And that means there's going to be 5 columns going across, and there's going to be 4 rows going down. Okay, and it's going to be in a landscape aspect ratio. So I'll go ahead and create the map. Let that come up. I put sci-fo, by the way. I don't know what sci-fo is. The I and the O are right next to each other. All right, okay. Now, when I go ahead and turn on the grid, you'll notice that it's got the wrong type there. It's an isometric. I want to go with a shape squares. So now I have these nice squares here. I'll turn the shadows off as well. I don't really need those. I can also turn off, I think I can also just bring the opacity up. That way I can very clearly kind of see the lines. And now I have this 5 by 4. That works out great. And I think I'll also use I will also use kind of a flatter kind of white color for the background texture. I don't think blue would work well here. So let's maybe go with this one right here for now. We'll go ahead and fill that. There we go. Hey, Les Beans. I see you're a first-time chatter. Glad that you're here. Hey, Lady of the Steak. Awesome. So many friendly faces. I love to see it. Okay, so it's easy to put together the grid part. So now we have each individual thing, and what we'll now have to do is come up with some ones. So I think what we should do first is maybe try to make some basic points of interest, like a settlement or a space colony or something like that, because that seems to be like the most generic point of interest that I would think that you would start with. So I'll go ahead and start listing out some ones. Like, let's go ahead and choose maybe a sci-fi font. The sci-fi fonts are near the bottom there. So I'll just kind of pick one. Let's go with maybe Zen Dots. I think that works out fairly well because the canvas color is a bit brighter. We should use a darker text. So we'll go ahead and call this a colony. There's one. Yeah, and if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. Put them in the chat here. It can be anything from space stations to a shield generator, or maybe an orbital defense cannon. Whatever you guys can come up with, just let me know, and we'll make sure to try to make that. I like a good challenge. So I'll put colony in there, and then I'll also add in a vehicle of some kind, or a ground vehicle. And we'll come up with a name later. A ground vehicle, space station, or spaceship or space station. Love that idea. Could you make an outpost? Yes, absolutely. D20 dude, love that idea. We'll do all of that. Let's put ground vehicle. Let's also put space. Let's put a spaceship. And then what do we got? We got an outpost. Let's go put that down. Outpost. Love that idea. Outpost. Okay, what else do we got? Yeah, spaceship or station. Let's also put space station. I think that's a good idea. We'll add that on there. Oh, a sci-fi power plant. Love that one, first time chatter. All good ones. Great. Oh, a crash site. Like that too. Okay. Let's do a space station and then a crash site. Space station and then crash site. That should be fun. Loving all these ideas. Crash site, and then also I think I saw a power plant. Heck yeah, some great suggestions. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate that. Power plant. Okay, cool. All right. I think this is good for now. So I think this is quite a few prompts. We'll come up with other ones maybe in the future. So do make sure that when this comes out on YouTube, hey Pedro, when this does come out on YouTube, give it thumbs up, because the more thumbs up it gets, the more likes it gets, the more possibilities of it being a full-on series, okay? Ooh, love the alien infestation. That sounds extremely challenging. Maybe like a human type of building that's been infested by aliens. Yeah, I like that idea. Let's maybe go with that. Let's put alien infestation. Station. There we go. Oopsie, did I not spell that right? There we go. Okay, let's do that. Cool. Thank you, Nimue. Great suggestion. Okay, now I'm going to go and just select all these and just lock them right away so I don't accidentally select them. Mining asteroid. Ooh, okay, let me write that down real quick. Okay, mining asteroid. We might not get to all of them today, but we'll try to get as many as possible. Okay. This looks good. Oopsie, I think I spelled asteroid wrong. My bad. There we go. That looks a little better. We'll go ahead and lock that. Great. Thank you, everyone, for the great suggestions. Appreciate it. Okay. I think these should be enough for now. Let's go ahead and start first with like a colony. I'm going to go and open up the catalog. It's already based in sci-fi fantasy world, so we'll have to go through that. Now, one thing you'll notice about the sci-fi world style is that it is, fantasy. And so you'll have to try to make the stamps look more sci-fi, which I don't think is incredibly difficult. So what we'll do is we'll first maybe pick like a race or a theme. Like if it's going to be a human colony, then maybe we should you look at some human stamps or look at like a tower or these things, and then you start adding things on top of it. So the way that I started out is I'll use one large stamp that's going to be the base of the structure, and then I'll add stamps on top of that. And you're going to have to adjust the color adjustments of some of the stamps and even blend modes to get them to kind of match together, because for the time being, they are very much a sci-fi theme. So one thing I can do right away is I can just drop the saturation to give it a more metal-like look instead of that sandstone look. And then on top of that, I can add some things to it. And you don't have to, it doesn't always have to be fantasy world stamps, by the way. I will mix in some other stamps. One thing that I've noticed that mixes really well with fantasy world stamps is watercolor cities or watercolor battle maps. And the reason why is because the fantasy world style has this thick black outline kind of style to it. And so that somewhat matches, depending on the scale, with those other watercolor styles. So those work out well. So what I should do from here is, if I want to make a colony, what I want to do is kind of create this illusion that this thing right here is floating in space like this. And then I want to have maybe some like bridges that branch off of it. And then there are these little hubs that are kind of attached to it. So a couple of things that we could do is we could use like a bridge. I mean, it already is, the bridge works out here. We could take maybe, let's use this one and we'll desaturate it just like we did before. And let me see if I can maybe, let me see here. I might want to consider flipping through them and kind of choosing one that works better. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and place that there. One moment. I think that looks good right there. And then I'll place another one here like this, but I'm going to put it behind it. like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and just rotate like this. Now I have this nice, kind of has this kind of satellite feel to it. And then I can kind of take this one, take a smaller one, kind of make it smaller, and then create a hub right here. Let's go ahead and just place that there. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit smaller. Normally I would say scale it up to make it bigger. Let's also copy and paste. Let's maybe make a smaller. Let me go take a look here. Let me see if I can use a tower. And what I want to do is kind of create this illusion of like tiers. So I might be able to use this one. I don't know if that'll work. Let's try. You know what? I think this one should work just fine. Let's use this. We'll do with that one. Let's go with saturation. Let's bring the brightness down a little bit. There we go. That looks good. There we go. So we kind of have this little piece underneath. Let's copy, paste, put another one on top of that. That tower looks a little too big. Let's use a smaller one. Maybe this one would work better. How about that one? Let me take a look at it. Okay, there we go. That looks a little better. Let's go with that one. There we go. I'm not sure how I feel about that being there. That seems a little off to me. We'll have to figure out something a little bit better. Let's go with shields. I got an idea. Let's take a shield like this. I'm going to go ahead and bring the saturation down. I'm going to curve like this just so it kind of matches, and then just put that right underneath like this. There we go. Normally I should actually have everything be at here before I decide to rotate, but I just wanted to see what it would look like. We'll copy and paste, put another one right there on top like that. There we go. That looks good. This might have to change a little bit. Let's go ahead and change the height a little bit more. There we go. And then we can copy this piece. Let's put it up in front like that. And then we'll copy paste this one as well. There we go. Okay. That looks a little bit better. It's a little even. I'm kind of wondering if I should maybe bring this width down just a little bit so it's not exactly perfectly the same width. I want there to be like, I don't know, not to be symmetrical. I want to have one bridge be longer than the other. And so then that way when I rotate it like this, it'll look a little bit more interesting. So we're getting close. I think we're getting super close with a better design here. Let's go ahead and place this one here. I don't think every single one of them needs to have it. And then I can kind of look at some other options for the bottom part. Let me see here. This right here is kind of nice. I kind of like this, the way that this compass looks. Let's go ahead and just desaturate that. I might remove this. I'm not sure. I'm going to take a look here. Let's put that there. Let's also change some of the height a little bit, like have one be way up here and then one kind of be like that. And then I can kind of put this thing on top like this. And we're slowly kind of putting together kind of a colony piece there. It kind of might be like a rotating piece here. You could even put it at the bottom, but I think it might do better right here. There we go. That looks good. Let me go ahead and just rotate it here like this. We're kind of getting our colony slowly kind of putting together. We removed that line work from the stamps underneath by adding these here like that. Okay, that looks good. I think, let's go ahead and bring the brightness up a little bit on this one. Okay. And then from here, what we should do is we want to try to like add in some details that are going to give it more of a sci-fi look, because right now it doesn't really have this sci-fi look to it quite yet. You can see that there's crenellations and the bridge and stuff. So we might want to consider adding some elements to it that are going to give it even more of a sci-fi look to it. So for instance, there's light sources, and there's also, you can use textures with the shape tool to give it a more interesting look. I'll give you an example. So I want to go over here. I'm going to turn off merge shape. I'm going to turn the stroke off, and I'm going to choose fill and a texture. I'm going to go into the catalog, and I'm going to go look for the sci-fi texture specifically. So if I go down here, you'll see that there's this sci-fi battle maps. Open that up, and I'm trying to use sci-fi stamps very sparingly here. But what we should do is kind of look for like this metal hex tile. I think this looks good. We should kind of use that. Let's go ahead and place one down right here. We'll mess with the texture scale. Let's go ahead and remove this piece here. And I'm just going to go ahead and place this right on top like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and choose, let's try overlay first. Let's see what that looks like. Overlay. Yeah, it does seem like there is that. Okay. I think overlay might work. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's go ahead and use the pen first. Go back to the brush, use the pen. And then I'm going to go and just kind of fill in this whole space with that texture. Even in between the little bit of the crenellations here. Doesn't have to be perfect. One moment. Okay, let's go plus here. There we go. Let me just take a step back. Kind of look at it. I'm wondering we should try different blend modes just to see. I should turn off that stroke too. I do like that kind of effect there, but let's go ahead and change blend modes and see what other ones might work better. Let's try screen, color dodge. Oh, I kind of like that a little bit. I think the overlay looks kind of the best because I really want to show those hexes there. I could try bringing the brightness up and bringing the contrast just to get a little bit more. There we go. That looks good. And then I can just copy and paste that whole thing and then just bring it up a layer and then just place it right here on like that. Copy, paste. Another one right here like that. I think that needs to go down a layer. Oops, there we go. Put this one up. Oh, nope, that won't work. The whole thing will have to go down. Go ahead and create the group. There we go. All right. All right, I think that looks a little better. I'm not 100% satisfied with the way that it's turning out here. Let's go right there with that one. There we go. I think, what about there? Looks good. Okay. Yeah, I think overall that kind of helps there. Let's go ahead and add a couple more right here to this one. We'll use that square. Oopsie, not the pen, my mistake. There and right there. Oopsie, I don't know if that went all the way up or not. There we go. Move it up a little bit. There we go. Okay. So there is some space station kind of feel to it that way. Let's see here. I do want to add that, put this back on top. Like that. There we go. That looks good. And I do want to put some stuff on the bottom down there, but I'm not entirely sure what to add yet. I could add like a pillar or something. I do want to have like this, like some kind of antenna or maybe a communications array or something like that. Let's try maybe this one right here. This might work. Bring it down a layer. Let's try this one. Saturation. Bring the brightness down. It's below. That might work. Not sure. Copy, paste. Let's add one more. Let's go ahead and copy, create group here, and then let's put that one up. There we go. Okay. It's looking a little better now that we have some of that kind of. There we go. Yeah, that looks much, much better. There we go. Now we're kind of getting into that kind of space station kind of look to it. That's good. We're getting there. Let's keep adding just a couple more things there. Let's go ahead and add this, copy and paste this one. Wondering if I should put one here as well. No, I think it looks fine. That's good. Let's go ahead and add some light sources and some other things to kind of give it a more spacey look. We might want to even consider adding some guns to it or something. I think what works well, I've used in the past, are like these pillars right here. They kind of have a kind of gun-like feel to it. We can go ahead and take the saturation, and I can maybe place one just right there in the front to kind of hide the door. And it will kind of give a kind of interesting feel to it. Let's add maybe another one right here, or I don't know if I want it to be entirely symmetrical. I want some asymmetry when putting it together. So I think that looks good. Let's put this here. It's good. I think I kind of like that just right there. That looks good. Let's keep that. One thing we could do is add like another little. You could add another little piece like right here, like that, if you wanted to. Let's go ahead and just take this piece right here and put it underneath it, of course. You could do that if you wanted to add another little piece to it like that if you want, or if you want it to be closer in, you could move it in all the way to here. That way it's not. There we go. That looks good. So a colony looks good. Almost looks like a space station more than a colony. I don't know. Maybe they're the same thing, honestly. Let's copy and paste. I'm kind of thinking it might look good to just kind of throw the shields right underneath where that meets. There we go. Now it definitely has a more sci-fi feel to it. What I should do is add in some light sources. So we'll do that real quick. We'll type in light. I don't think there are in the fantasy world style, so you will have to go somewhere else to find it. Let's let this load up. I think red is a pretty good color. I mean, it's kind of used for various things, so we could probably use red. I'm going to put it all the way up on layer +5. Let's see here. You know what? I think I might use blue instead. Let's use this one right here. These are found in watercolor cities. I think these work really, really well. Let's go ahead and use blue for lighting. So we'll put some light there. In fact, I think the black is making it difficult to see it. So we'll go to normal like this, and then I'll go ahead and transform just a little bit of the width. And then right on top right there, and we'll copy and paste that. Copy, paste, copy, paste. Let's put another one there. There we go. And then we can add a bunch of smaller ones as well to these windows down here. So I'll just go ahead and copy, paste. Oopsie, I don't think it, did it do the whole thing? I'm not so sure it did. Copy, paste. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and add some lights. There we go, looks good. Let's go ahead and add a couple here as well. That looks good. Let's add some up here. Okay. Okay. Let me think here. I think that's it. Let me take a step back and look at it. There we go. I think the space station looks pretty, or the colony looks pretty good. What we have is we have a central shaft in the center there. It's like the main hub or common area. Then you have a series of bridges that kind of branch out and have these other kind of cylinders that could act as whatever it might be. Could be housing, domiciles, whatever it might be. But one thing I definitely recommend is using the shape tool to kind of retexture a stamp, because again, a lot of the textures are going to be like stone, wood, and that's not what you would make a sci-fi POI out of, right? It was most likely going to be made of metal. And so if you just desaturate it, that's like your first step of getting it to that kind of metal look. And then from there, you can kind of add things. So I think overall, this colony looks kind of good. We'll go ahead and create a group and call it colony. There's probably a whole bunch more details that could be added to this. Like we could probably add a series of black lines that kind of represent cables, attaching things, like harnessing things. So we could like take, let's go ahead and use a black color. We'll go ahead and use a line with no shadow. And you can easily just take things like this and just kind of create these lines. Let me make sure full opacity, normal. We'll bring this down a little bit. There we go. And then you can always just kind of create these kind of like cables that are like attached to things. And you can always kind of do that as you would kind of expect, some kind of way of harnessing things or keeping things attached to each other. So you could always make kind of these kind of cables like this going across from each other like that. If you want one going over there, you could have one kind of going over to here like this, one that attached to here. You could have one hanging here like this, one like this. So there's a lot of different things that you can kind of do. You don't also have to use black lines. You could also use like some of the tubes and things and the wires from sci-fi battle map style. Just know that these POIs will be relatively small. That's why I'm using a line. Once you scale them down, you're not really going to see much of the those lines, the details in the lines. That's why you always scale big when you make a POI. First, you make it big, and then you scale it down. And then when you scale it down, you notice that it doesn't look nearly as fantasy as it did before, right? Because it's just so scaled down now. It definitely has a sci-fi look, and it's kind of hidden that fantasy element. So kind of helpful there. There we go. Well, I think that is it for that one. I think that turned out good. What we'll do is I'll quickly save it, and then we'll move on to a ground vehicle. I love all these prompts, by the way. Great suggestions by everyone in the crowd. Appreciate you all pitching in these ideas. Don't make me do all the creative labor. All right. So a ground vehicle. All right. How about someone pick a theme? What do we want? Human, dwarf, orc, undead, or elven? Let me know in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and start working from there. Usually I always pick a theme first, a race or whatever it might be. Elven? Oh, I love that idea. Let's do that. Okay, great idea. So let's go ahead and grab some Elven stamps. Yeah, cool. I'm liking that. Everyone's saying Elven. Okay, let's go ahead and go back. I'm going to go ahead and add a filter here and go over to Style. And then we'll pick Fantasy World again. There we go. All those stamps will pop up. And what I'll do is I'll choose an Elven stamp as my base, just like I did before. Choose a stamp for the base. Let's create like, let's create some kind of like ground barge. Like what we could do is take these two towers right here, and these are going to kind of represent like the wheel housing for wheels. So that's what's going to represent. And then we'll take, let's maybe take, we can take these bridges here and kind of use them as a way to connect these two wheel houses together. Let's go ahead and bring the thing up. Let's bring the brightness up. Let's bring contrast down a little bit. I want this to kind of match with that just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and connect, copy, paste. I'm going to connect these two like this. So now we have kind of a good base set up there. Let's go ahead and make some wheels. You know, you could totally just use these like we did before. Right here, we just want to rotate them in a way to where they match. And you can just go ahead and place them underneath. Oopsie, let me make sure I'm on the right one here. There we go. Let's bring the brightness down. There we go. And then I can just copy and paste. And then I can create a series of wheels. Going down here, let's go ahead and copy and paste. Make them a little bit smaller. That way they can all kind of fit in right there. Copy, paste. Let's go ahead and put those just right underneath right there like that. There we go. So our vehicle's kind of coming together. Let's also put, just like before, we'll go ahead and put these behind as well. Bring the brightness up. Copy, paste. Oopsie, not that one. This one. Copy, paste. There we go. Okay, so we got like this, we can call it like a Gemini barge because it has two pieces there. Let's also kind of rotate these just a little bit more to kind of fit in. Just a little bit more like that. There we go. And then we can place something on top of these two things that are bridging the whole thing. So we could use a whole number of things that we could use here. We could actually use like a Dwarven structure of some kind and just place it right on top of it. We can kind of look at our options here. We're using a blue one, so why don't we just put like a blue house just right on top like this. There we go, just right on top, just right like that. There we go. We could scale it down a little bit. The line work is a little thick. Again, when you scale it down, it's going to be really small, so you won't be able to notice it. So we'll go put that there. I think that's good. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and keep adding just a couple more things to it. I want to add maybe some fun stuff to it. So let's maybe add in, let's maybe take this piece right here and we can maybe place it right in the front. Just like this. Oopsie, I noticed the saturation is down. Let's fix that. There we go. This will kind of create like a, I don't know, it could be some kind of cockpit or whatever. That should kind of work. Kind of facing that way. I think that looks good. That looks good. Okay, looks good. One thing that we could do is we want to show like maybe how does it travel, right? There's wheels there. Is there some kind of propulsion? We can totally do that. We can go back into the sci-fi world map style. And inside the sci-fi battle map style, there should be a stamp called light. Let me check real quick. No, I don't see it in here. Give me a second here. We might have to go look for it. It might be under ship. 1 second. Let me try that. Nope, I don't see it. Okay, 1 second while I look for it. I'm trying to remember if it's at the very bottom or not. Let's take a look here. There's kind of these, I'm not sure how to describe them. They're kind of like a jet propulsion like stamp. I know that people here know what I'm talking about, but I just don't remember what the name of it was. I know it's in here somewhere. I think it's blue. Let's just type in blue. Maybe that will help. Nope, not seeing it in there. No. Let's go ahead and expand all assets. I'm not sure what even the tag would be for this, but we'll expand all the assets so that way I can kind of have a better look at them. I'm pretty sure I can find it in here. It's like a blue jet stream of some kind. Hard to describe it. There they are right here. They're called Hyperdrive Thruster Beam. Ooh. All right, so they're fancy. Since we're using green or blue. Here, I don't think we should use blue propulsion. I think we should use purple because purple it works with blue, right? Purple is created by adding red and blue together. And so purple will work well with blue because they come from each other. So if I just go ahead and take this little piece right here and add another one right here, then I have these nice jet propulsion pieces right here to kind of work. I think that looks good. And then since we're already doing some purple in there, why don't we also just create some purple light sources? So I'll choose a light stamp, switch the hue, and then kind of just move it over to a purple-like color. I think that should be good. Just kind of pinkish color. Let me go ahead and bring these up a layer. And I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can find that nice purple color that I'm looking for here. Maybe that one right there should look good. We'll copy, paste, and we'll just add a bunch of them right here. So it looks like maybe there's some, maybe an energy source or something that's kind of inside, that's kind of keeping it going. I think that's a good choice. Let's go ahead and create group. And I'm just going to call it a Gemini barge. And there's a whole lot more that you could add to it. You could add in weapons. You could have lasers kind of going off of it. Let me show you how I would do that. There is a stamp within the sci-fi style. I think it's called laser. Let me try it out real quick. Is it LASER? Yeah, there you go. We can use these. Let's use green because green and purple look good together. And then if you wanted to make like a laser beam, you could totally do that by just changing the scale a little bit. And then maybe you have some nice lasers kind of coming out of there, or maybe it's coming out right here, whatever it might be. Kind of some laser beams there. Kind of helpful, right? We've got the barge. Let's go ahead and just scale it up a little bit so you can kind of see it. And we'll go ahead and place it right there. There we go. So making a ground vehicle, not complex. Just you're going to want to create the wheel housing or the tank track housing or whatever it might be. You're going to want to add in wheels or tracks. You're going to want to add in like some kind of cockpit that the people can get inside of and then operate. And then you add all your little details to make it less sci-fi, or make it not less sci-fi, more sci-fi. So a lot of options there. We'll go ahead and save and kind of move on to the next one. If people really want to have like a sci-fi world map style, they could make a canny request for it. I searched around the good portion of this week looking around for a canny request that was specific for a sci-fi world style, but I couldn't find it. I found a whole bunch of sci-fi requests, but not necessarily a sci-fi world style. Maybe it's just not popular enough for people to want. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a spaceship. Why don't you guys let me know what race that we should use to do this? Should it be human, orc, undead? Should it be some kind of crazy aliens? You let me know what race we should do for this one. Let's not do Elven because we already did an Elven theme. So let me know which one you guys want to use. Gnome. Oh, that sounds interesting. I like that one, Jonathan Frost. Orc. I like that one too. We'll let people keep giving suggestions. We'll see if any overlap. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Regional sci-fi is very popular. I have noticed that. Dwarfs. Yeah, I love the dwarf idea. Actually, that's great. Undead is good too. Oh no, it's all over the place. There's not two of one. I'll see if anyone else mentions one. Well, it looks like we've got two orc. So why don't we go with orc? And hey, first time chatter, by the way. Glad that you're here. Excuse me. Olala Matt. Olampre. Make sure I kind of pronounce that right. Love the idea of a hodgepodge orc ship. Yeah, me too. I love that idea. Okay, so let's make an orc spaceship. Just like before, you're probably going to want to go into that catalog. And we're going to go and choose the fantasy world style, of course. And then we'll type in orc. And then we have these kind of options to work with. I'll go ahead and expand all of them. And so the kind of orc ship that I'm kind of thinking is going to be something that's going to be like somewhat fantasy oriented, because what I want to do is maybe have the orcs have their tech just be slightly below the tech of the other species like humans and whatnot. And so it might have a kind of a fantasy tint to it. And so it'll be a mix between sci-fi and fantasy. And what is sci-fi if not space fantasy, right? That's debatable, right? I'm sure some people are like, whoa, 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 hold up, buddy. That's not what it is. So let's go ahead and start with just a ship in general, right? Like you've already got the space. You've got the ship part, so we could probably start with a ship. And you notice that there's some line work, like there's water underneath. So we're probably going to have to choose some things to kind of hide that. So what we could do is maybe we want to use like one of these nice orc towers. This one right here might work well. It's kind of an interesting piece. We could maybe put it underneath of it like this and look like it's kind of resting on it. And it looks like it kind of has this nice kind of piece underneath of it. There is some stuff in the back here, I think, that kind of stick out a little bit. So we'll have to adjust that. But I think overall, this ship on top of that tower is a good start. Let's go ahead and move that back. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other orc options and see what we have to work with here. Let's see here. I do love the idea of a hodgepodge ship. That is a great idea, Brian. Okay, let's take a look at our options here. We've got some nice little towers here. That looks nice. I might want to consider going with the same technique that I did before. Maybe I'll just throw in a little piece in the back here like this. I can maybe bump up the saturation on it and kind of maybe get that kind of greenish kind of hue that I have out of it. So I'll just go ahead and bring the saturation down, and then I still have that nice kind of green color that works with the tower. And so this kind of ship is already kind of coming together. We've got a base for it, the ship part at the top. I think what we should do is that we should add some extra things to it. Like maybe we can add some kind of jet. I think, what was the name of this one called? Let me make sure. What this was called, a what's that one called? Doesn't automatically take you to it. It's called an ion propulsion. Okay, let's maybe try that. So let's go. Oh, there it is right there. Perfect. Let's go with this orange one. I think this looks pretty good. Let's go with that. But I might have to do some like adjustments to it. So let's maybe bring it a little bit smaller this way, and then I'll go ahead and bring it this way. And now we have this kind of nice spark that's coming out of it. We can also change the color if we want, like maybe green would work better with the red. Yeah, I like the green actually better. That way we have some nice green and red colors kind of working together there. I think that looks good. Let's go back into Orc here and see what else we have here. I'm seeing some spikes. These spikes right here are pretty dang cool. Why don't we maybe place these along the rim? Along here, kind of like this. Let's go up a layer. There we go. Let's put some spikes there. Let's put another one right here like that. There we go. Now we have some nice spikes along the edge there. I think that looks good. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Let's keep adding stuff. I did notice that there were some of these kind of cool, like, little totems right here. These totems might look pretty good. We can put them anywhere on the ship. Maybe we want to have, like, a totem at the very top of this right here. Oopsie, this is set to 5. Let's bring that down a layer. Oopsie, they're all kind of up too high a layer. Let's fix that. Select all. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and fix that. Make those adjustments. There we go. There we go. That goes down one. And then this one can go right on top, just like that. And I think I saw another one. There's a smaller one right there. Why don't we put that one on top right there like that? There we go. Okay. And then, well, we could add one more thing. Let's maybe add in maybe a laser beam or something that's coming out of it. I think we did do that earlier, like this green beam right here. We could have it coming out, just shooting kind of like that. That might be kind of intriguing. Maybe just like right there. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and bring the scale down. This beam is a little long. Why don't we make it a little bit smaller? That way it can kind of fit. There we go. A nice small beam there. There we go. And then I'll go ahead and group. We'll call it a orc ship. That looks good. Okay, and then we'll just scale it up to fit. Okay, I think that looks good. Let me just take a step back. We've got our colony, we've got our ground vehicle, and we got our spaceship. Orc spaceship. Nice. Yeah, I think that overall looks good. Just want to make sure that nothing looks inconsistent. That there's these waves right here that are on top of the tower, but when you scale it down to its actual size, you won't even be able to see that. That's kind of the beauty of the fantasy world style when you're making a sci-fi POI is that you just won't notice the sci-fi elements unless you have the POI huge like this. So once they scale down, they're going to fit even better. So that's kind of a nice little tip there. Let's go ahead and save it at 40 changes. And we'll do an outpost. I'm going to check where are we at for time here. 340. Oh, great. Cool. Yeah, we got tons of time. Tons of time. Let's keep making stuff. You know what? I just made a colony, and I feel like the colony, the outpost, and the space station are all incredibly similar to each other. So if no one has any problems, I think I'll kind of move to either the crash site or the power plant. If people do have a problem with the outpost thing, let me know. I will still do an outpost. What I would do is just make a less detailed version of the colony. Like the way that I made the colony should be similar to it. Nope, you okay, D20 dude? I just want to make sure I don't want to make sure there's a giant uproar over not making the outpost or space station. The colony is just so similar to each other. If you do the outpost, I would make a dumbed down version of the colony. Just have a small cylinder with one bridge and then one cylinder attached to that. It's because the colony is probably going to be a little bigger than the outpost, right? That's just my suggestion. As for the space station, I would also do a similar style to the colony, but you could do all kinds of fancy stuff. There's so many different ways. The way that I generally do it when I come up with a design is I'll usually go through like Pinterest or whatever I'll go to look for like reference images to kind of figure out like what looks best. Okay, I do love the crash site. That's a great idea. So why don't we do that? And what's nice about the crash site is we can just use a simple crater as the first part. And I think we should just use a crater part. Let me just see which one works better. What I want is I want to have one that's deep enough to where I can put like a ship or an asteroid inside of it. So I'll go ahead and put this here. Now, just so you know, these stamps right here have what's called a clipping mask. See what happens when I turn it off? Like this. You'll notice that it has a clipping mask. So that can be turned on and off. But what a clipping mask simply does is it picks up whatever is on the FG layer. Okay, the FG layer is anything made with the add mode of the mask tool. But just keep in mind that this will change when 2.0 gets released. We will, I do believe like the fantasy world style, the world styles will still have like a mask tool, but the fantasy, like the battle map styles will allow you just to create a mask layer of any kind. You won't even have to worry about an FG or a BG layer at all. So super excited about 2.0, where you'll have way more control over the layer system. So for now, I'm going to turn the clip mask off because I don't want it to pick up that green. It'll look weird. So I'll go ahead and put down first the crater here. And then what I might want to do is add a little bit more drama to it. Like right now, the crater looks like it's old, but what happens if I want to show like Earth being upended and that kind of stuff? I like to take these brown karsts right here. These work really well. Go up a layer like this, and then just place them right like this along the edge here. And what you have is some nice drama going on like that. What I think I will do is I will take this same texture right here. I'm going to go to foreground layer. I'm just going to go to fill. And in that way, now whenever I use a clipping mask, it should use that same texture. So these right here are going to create this illusion of like pushed Earth being thrown. So if I just kind of move these over a little bit, kind of have them facing away from each other like this, then I can kind of create this illusion of like these kind of spikes coming out from the dirt like that. This should help to kind of give that illusion of more of a recent crash. Let's start there. And now the question is, what is in the crash site? Is it an evil, is it a alien space vessel that's super creepy and we don't know where it came from? Is it a crash site of like a human spaceship? What is it, right? I think kind of a creepy alien ship might be a good idea. Let's kind of go with that. And what I'll do is I'm actually going to go over to the fantasy or to the regional world style, and I'll kind of use kind of the Star Trek Borg, the cube ships, as kind of a inspiration. And the reason why I'm going to use it is because we already have circles in our build right here. Notice that there's kind of this circular crater here. But if I add in like a cube for the spaceship, it's going to create a contrast between the straight lines of the cube and the more curved lines of the crater. And that, remember, the trick to making a build pop is to add contrasts. So we'll go ahead and do that. First, I'm going to want to pick the style. I want to go into Fantasy Regional, and there should be these nice pieces just right here like this. You should be able to use these, or you can use these as well. I think these also work just fine. We could maybe put two of these together and create a cube. What I'll do is I'll bring the saturation all the way down. And then what I'll do is I'll use, just like I did with the textures, I'll go ahead and create textures and put them on top of it to give it a more sci-fi kind of feel to it. So I'll go back. I'm going to go to fill, and I'm not going to use this, these shapes here. I'm going to use something different. Like maybe I can use something like this. That's got some nice things in it. I could use that right there. This right here might work. These dark white metal floor. I think that looks kind of interesting. We could also use this right here, this pipe, dark pipe floor. I think that does match more with the Borg look, though I'm not trying to steal it exactly. Let's just put it down first just to see how it looks. Press enter. Let's change the scale a little bit. Let's rotate it a little bit as well. I mean, that might be a little too dark. Let's maybe go with just bringing the brightness up just a little bit. There we go. And let's also bring the saturation down just a little bit. There we go. And let's go ahead and bump the contrast up. And then what I'll do is I'll also rotate the texture a little bit. Like this. Oh, no, not the whole thing. My mistake. I meant just the texture. Here we go. And we'll go ahead and rotate. I think that works okay. So then we'll copy paste that one, and I'll just kind of flip it like this and then place it on there. And what I should do is that one should be darker than the other, so that there's a little bit of contrast there. So we could make this part a little brighter and make this one a little bit darker. That way there's kind of a clear difference between a dark side of the cube and the light side of the cube. There we go. And then I'll just copy and paste that again and then just place it right on top. Just like that. There we go. That looks good. And then let's maybe change this to a little bit brighter one, like maybe right here. There we go. That looks better. We'll desaturate, bring the brightness down. There we go. Right about there. Let's bring the contrast up just a little bit. There we go. So now we kind of have this nice kind of cube right here. The other thing I might want to consider adding is maybe adding like a creepy eyeball or something to it, just to kind of add like some kind of detail to it. I'll go ahead and just type in eye, and then there should be some from the Fantasy Battle Mat style. And we'll go ahead and just choose one creepy kind of alien-like eye to maybe go on the cube. Let's see, let's go right here like this. Okay, that looks good. Let's go with that. I kind of like maybe an eye slit would be kind of better, like maybe something like that might work better. Yeah, let's go with that. That kind of has more of a menacing kind of look to it. I think that looks good. And then what I want to do is maybe I want to, what I have is the eyeball just seems to kind of stick out. It doesn't seem to be connected to the cube. So what I might want to consider doing is maybe just taking some red lines and kind of make it look like they're, let's go with overlay. Let's try this one. And let me just make sure that the size is right. And I can maybe kind of create these kind of red lines that kind of emanate off of, kind of like this. Oopsie, let's go up another layer. My mistake. There we go. Let's try that. There we go. And then we'll put one more right here like this. Okay. I think that looks about right. We could also change the color of the eyeball to whatever color we really want. Like maybe purple would work better. And if that's the case, maybe select all those lines again and then maybe switch over to purple instead. Okay, let's maybe change the blend mode because it's really hard to see them. So we could go with maybe lighten. Yeah, that looks good. There we go. So now we have this nice kind of spaceship cube. I'll create a group, call it cube. Create. Okay, let's go ahead and place it here. And then what we could do is just kind of have it place it just right here. I'm not sure how exactly I want to do it. Maybe something kind of like this. Like this, so it kind of looks like it's not perfectly even. And then what I can also do is maybe use some of these right here to kind of put in front of it like this, maybe one right here like that, and then another one in front kind of like that, and then one like this. There we go. Okay, so now you have a cube and a crash site. I think the other thing we should add is a light source. We've already got this nice purple light source. Let's just use that one. Let me go ahead and change the transform. I'm just going to place it right there at +5. There we go. And then I could play around with blend modes to find a blend mode that kind of works better. Oh, I kind of like that darken. That kind of adds a nice kind of eerie kind of feel to it. I kind of like that. Let's also maybe use some fey lights to add a little bit of like sparkle or some kind of feeling of like energy that's like crackling off of the eye. So I'll go over here, go to color, go to hue. There we go. And then I have this nice purple kind of energy. Oopsie, my mistake. We'll go ahead and flip this light source this way. There we go. And so we kind of have this nice crash site now. So I'll go ahead and create group and call it crash site. Not hard to put together. So when you scale it down, right, you'll see the difference when I scale it down. Real small. Hard to see all those details, right? That's why I don't focus on adding too many details, because you're just simply not going to see them when you scale them down. That's the beauty of it, is that you don't have to do as much work as you think, right? It's a world map scale. So that's having a small scale like that is very helpful to kind of hide the inconsistencies, the stuff that looks fantasy. It's very, very helpful. So I'll quickly save. Let me check for time, 51. You know what? I think we're going to call it good here. So I really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. I don't think we have enough time to make a power plant, alien infestation, and mining asteroid. Not sure we have enough time for all that. But I think this seems like a fairly popular series. People have been giving suggestions and have been fairly active in the chat. So you know what? I'm feeling a little like having fun. Let's just go over and we'll make one more, okay? Let's make a couple more. Why not? It's Wednesday. What else is there to do, right? If it ends up being too long, we can always just split it into 2 parts or whatever. Yeah, let's keep going. All right, so let's create a power plant. Now this time I'm going to choose the theme because I want to create like a dwarf theme, because I really like the dwarves a lot. So let's create a power plant that is technically a dwarf one. So we'll go back into the catalog here. You know the rules, right? You pick the style, and then you're going to go ahead and pick a stamp that's going to act as the main base, the stamp that you're going to go on top of. So we'll add Dwarven here. There's a lot of really nice stamps, by the way, as well for Dwarven. Like I've noticed here, that you've got these really nice, these right here look great to add like some kind of power source on top of them. It kind of looks like a plinth. I'm not sure if you know what a plinth is. A plinth is something that like you put a display on top of or something, but it has this nice like plinth-like look to it. And so this works great for like putting some kind of power source on top of it. So we'll kind of keep that in mind. There's also these other stamps that are great. Like for instance, this one right here looks great. This could work as like a power plant. It already has like the glowing power source and inside of it. You just need to add some sci-fi elements to it. In fact, I think this power plant thing, this right here, would work just great. Why don't we use this as our base? Let's go step 1. And then what we might want to also consider doing is we can change the hue if need be. Maybe we want the light source to be purple, pink. Maybe we want it to be blue. You should generally pick a color. Scheme before you start putting things together. First time chatter's got a question here. How do you import these into a world map? Do you make them? So here's the caveat. Unfortunately, first time chatter, and I'm sorry to say this, but there isn't a way to do this yet. Like for the time being, once you make these, you'll have to create the map. You'll have to clone the map and then use that clone to make your world map on top of it. But when 2.0 gets released, guess what? You'll be able to copy and paste across maps, and you'll be able to create your own, be able to save them as a custom stamp and then use them across styles. So really looking forward to that. That's why I'm kind of focusing. 2.0 is super, super close. I can't give you an exact date, but it is very, very close. I can't stress how close it is. So I do want to kind of go into streams on how to make stuff like this, but very soon you'll be able to add these to any map without any problem. So, whew, fingers crossed for 2.0. I'm excited. I'm sorry that I can't give you any better news than that. So for now, clone the map and then build your world on top of it. And I know this is frustrating because I have a ton of maps of POIs that I've made, and for a lot of people, they probably seem pretty worthless because you can't copy and paste them on your current maps, and I understand that frustration. So when 2.0 comes out, you won't have a problem whatsoever, and I suspect that a lot more of my maps will probably get a lot more clones when 2.0 comes out because you'll actually be able to use these on any map without any problem. So I kind of like, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out a good color scheme here. We've already got pink and purple here and here, so I'm trying to figure out a good choice. Yes, this will absolutely, this every single stream gets uploaded to YouTube. And then I also sometimes turn it into a time lapses, and I do clips as well. So you won't have any problem with being able to watch it. If you missed anything, don't worry about it. We'll add it to YouTube. So I kind of like blue. It's kind of a color that we haven't really worked with yet. So let's go with kind of this bluish color. I think that looks good. What also might be nice is, you notice how with this piece right here, I kind of added these like pink kind of like organic like tendrils that kind of were keeping the eye onto it. Let's kind of do a similar concept to that here. And so what I'll do is I'm going to use maybe some black lines. And what I'll do is I'll bring them down a layer. And what I'll do is I'll kind of create this kind of computer chip kind of feel to it, like this. Like there's kind of lines kind of growing off like this. And so we're going to create this kind of illusion of like wires attached to like a computer chip. So we'll go with that. This will be like a good kind of design that we can kind of work with. Let's go with that. I think that looks good. Let's maybe add a couple that go this way. Let's maybe add one that goes this way. Let's maybe a couple that go this way. This looks good. Oh, I'm wondering if I should have them go straight and across like this. I don't want to, that might ruin the isometric kind of feel to it doing it that way. Okay. And this is a little bit too long. I don't want it to be too far away. Okay. And then from here, we can put things at the end of those, like maybe a transformer or something like that. So we could use these right here. I think these look kind of good. They work well. Let's go ahead and also change them to that bluish color. And I'll just kind of attach them to wherever there is kind of an ending here like this. And I'm not going to do every single one. I do want to have some black lines, these kind of wires that don't attach to anything, just so that I kind of have a little bit more uniqueness to it. I don't want every single one to have a little transformer on it. I'm not sure what you would call it. I think a transformer works. Let's go here, here like this. Want to make sure it's even out. Want some stuff on the other side as well. There we go. Copy, paste. There we go. That looks good. And then from here, what we want to do is we want to like maybe apply some kind of power source. So I do believe there is a crystal that we can use. I think it might be in heraldry. Oopsie, let's go in the catalog here. I think it might be under heraldry. There it is right there. Perfect. This crystal right here should work great. Let's go ahead and place that just right kind of above. Oopsie, I got that up a layer. There we go. We have a nice crystal there. And if we want, we can create a series of smaller crystals that are just right over these as well. And then maybe we can put some light sources that are kind of attaching things together. Electrical arches coming from the crystals. I love that, Enderlian. That's a great idea. Such genius. Such great ideas here. I'm loving it. We got smart people in our chat, and I like it. Let's go ahead and add these crystals here. A lot of different ways that we can go about doing this. That's a crystal there. We might want to also maybe consider having like maybe some kind of energy that goes from like one crystal to the bigger crystal. So like this. Make it nice and big. Let's bring the size up. Let's bring the blur way up. As we're, there we got a nice blur there. And then we want to get the color that's going to work kind of the best with that. Let's go with that one. I think that should be good. And then I can just copy and paste these, or just create a series of lines that kind of go from crystal to crystal like this. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of go about doing this. If you want to have it like that, and then maybe there's like a light source that goes up into the sky, and maybe it's powering some kind of transformers that are up in the sky, and then it branches out to the other parts of the city. So whatever it might be, I think that looks fairly good. One thing you can do that I find very helpful is to use spells from the fantasy battle map style. Check this out. There's some, if I go just type in spell like this, and you'll see all these different spells right here. These are kind of helpful for creating like all kinds of interesting things. Like let's see here. Let's maybe use this red one right here. I can place that there, switch it over to that hue that I'm looking for, and then I can change that blend mode to like lighten or screen, and then I can add like this kind of nice arc, or kind of the arc of light that kind of emanates from it. Maybe you want to have multiple ones, like you could put smaller ones like on top like this on the crystal if you wish as well. Nice little details there. And because they're kind of an effect, they don't look odd or out of place with the fantasy world style. So you can kind of go about that. Now you have this kind of nice like power source there. You could add all kinds of things to the ground. Like maybe you wanted to add like a texture that has like some kind of mechanics or pipes underneath of it, so that it kind of has this mechanical kind of look to it. We could also add in a light source as well, just to kind of give it that extra kind of oomph to it. Like we could add a couple light sources to each one of these, copy and then paste them to each one. So a lot of different things that you could kind of do to kind of create a really interesting and kind of a unique power plant there. Let's go ahead and create group. We'll call it power plant. So lots of kind of cool ideas that you can kind of come up with. So I kind of like that. Let's finish up the last two. If we kind of go over a little bit longer, that's not a big problem at all. Yeah, I like this one too. And I'm a sucker for anything purple. Everyone here, I think, knows that I love purple, and any excuse to use the color is okay with me. I just love the color purple so much. It's just so great. So let's go ahead and create like an alien infestation. So the way that I would go about an alien infestation is to first create the uninfested vehicle or location first, right? And then once you've created that location, then you can add the alien infestation part, right? So we want to maybe make something. In fact, just to speed up on time, we can actually take something like this colony right here, like this, and we'll go ahead and we'll make it alien, right? So great little thing there. We don't have to make the thing. We'll just do that. And what I'll do first is I'll maybe just change some of the light source colors. So we should choose a hue that's going to represent the aliens. Let's try maybe a greenish color, since we haven't used green yet. I mean, right here maybe, but I think green is a good color there. And then from here, we might want to do a couple things to kind of make things pop out. So some cool stuff that we can use would be in like the sci-fi battle map style here. Let's go over here. Let's go to style. And I do believe in sci-fi battle map, at the very, very bottom, there is some alien stuff. Like right here, this infesting creep, right? It's an alien infestation, so it only makes sense that we would use like an alien infestation stamp, right? So now that I've got that stamp, I'll go ahead and just kind of scale it down to the size that I need. I'll turn off the shadows, and I'll go ahead and place it right up against here like this. And I'm going to change that color to, we're kind of choosing green as our color scheme here. So I'll go ahead and place that there. Let's go ahead and choose that nice green color. Let's make it pop out a little bit more. I want it to really, really pop out. That looks good. And now I can go ahead and just start kind of placing some of this infestation as I kind of go. Like maybe like right here isn't a bad idea. Oop, let's go ahead and put it up a layer so it's on top. There we go. Let's go ahead and put it right about there. Let's also go ahead and put another one, maybe creeping along here like this. So we'll go ahead and put a couple there. Let's put a couple creeping along here as well. Let's put some along right about here, I think should look good. There we go. So we have some nice infestation kind of going on here. Yeah, the lighting always is what I find that lighting is a big secret to making a map look really good. Is if you got the lighting, you can really give it that dynamic feel to it. Like what gives depth in the real world is light and shadow. And so that same concept is in art. If you really want to make something pop out or give it a sense of depth, light and shadows is the way to do it. Okay, I think overall that looks good so far. You might want to kind of add a couple more, maybe like right there. I think that looks good. And then what we might want to also consider doing is having this illusion that part of the spaceship is kind of like broken. So let's go ahead and create some black spaces that make it look like the ship has fallen apart. So what I'll do here is I'm going to use a shape. Let's go ahead and go fill, and let's use black for our color. I think that should look good. Let's go with black. Black color here, going like this. And then what I'll do is I'll open up the space station, and then I'm going to go ahead and use a shape, fill black, no color for the fill. And I'm just going to break, I'm going to follow the lines here and kind of make a break in the hull of the ship. So it kind of looks like something broke. So if I go like this, I'm going to press plus. It should go up a layer. Let me make sure that's on the right layer there. Oh, it's set to lighten. There we go. Let's go to normal. There we go. And we'll turn the blur off. There we go. And so we're going to have like a section of the ship that looks like it's fallen and broken apart. Like that. Let's go make another one. Like maybe like right here. Like a segment or a panel that just like broke and fell off. Like right there. Let's go add in one more right here. Like this. And now we have kind of like these panels that kind of broke off. I think that looks good. There we go. And then I think what we should do also is just add in some debris, right? We're in space, right? And so where did the debris for those broken segments of the alien-infested colony go, right? So there's a couple things that you can do here. I do think there is a debris. Let me check to see here. Is there debris? No, it might. In fact, we might want to consider using the steampunk stuff. Let me go ahead and try that. Let me type in metal real quick. I think there should be some metal. Let me check here. I'm scrolling through here. You know what? Let's just go to the style here. We'll go to fantasy battle maps. Let that kind of pop up. Give it a second. A little slow to load here. Come on, you can do it. Okay. No, doesn't want to do it, I guess. Let's go with fantasy. Nope, sorry, battle maps. My mistake. There we go. And I think if I just type in steampunk, I think there should be some metal pieces. One second while I go over it. Yeah, here we are right here. It's kind of metal pieces right here. Why don't we desaturate that so that we kind of get that right? And then what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and just put it on top of the group. So I'll put one there, here, here, there, maybe one like right here like this, just all near the areas where the part is broken, so that way it kind of looks like those pieces went somewhere. So we'll add some right here. Let's make that a little bit smaller. And let's add a couple debris over here, here. Oopsie, not that one. Let's go with, make it a little bit bigger. Let's go with this one right here. Some debris over here, here, and then one more piece of debris right there like that. There we go. Okay, and now I can go ahead and group them all and call it Alien Infestation. Cool little trick. You don't even have to make the whole other colony to make this. You just had to grab one we already used. Kind of helpful, right? It's amazing what lighting does, doesn't it? Let's save it and we'll do this last one. Been having fun. I greatly enjoy these kind of creative exercises. You know, Inkarnate is way more than just a map maker. It is a digital art program for sure. I know not everyone treats it that way, but a lot of people do. So it's very exciting stuff. It's all about just being creative and adjusting stamps settings to fit with the look that you're going for. I mean, it's not easy at first. It's like a skill. It does take a little bit of like getting familiar with the catalog, getting familiar with stamps. And then once you become familiar with stamps and the tools, it becomes easier to manipulate them to work to your advantage and to what you're trying to create there. So with a mining asteroid, what we should do is first create the rock in which the asteroid is built upon. So we could easily just use any kind of rock from any kind of style and just kind of pick the one that we want to choose from. So I'll just remove all the styles here. And if I just type in rock, we can kind of choose one that works best. I kind of find that these sci-fi battle map rocks work really well. You'll see there's kind of a lot of detail here. So these kind of work fairly well. They're definitely not going to match with the fantasy world style. But again, once you kind of scale them down, you're definitely not going to be noticing that. Okay, so what we should do is create the asteroid first. I think this is a decent size right here, this one. I'll maybe just desaturate it just a little bit. Let's turn off this. Let's desaturate it a little bit. Okay, I think this looks good. And then what we'll do is we'll build an installation of some kind that's on the rock. So what we should do is first kind of just get the rock shape that we want, and we want to figure some kind of orientation. And then we're going to want to pick some structures that we want to attach to it. So we'll go back to the fantasy world style here. I imagine most people like the longer streams. More time hanging out, right? Let's go with style. Okay, fantasy world. There we go. Okay. Let's kind of take a look at our options here. There's a lot of different things here. What we should do is maybe pick one that is going to kind of attach itself the easiest to the asteroid. Like we could put something on top of the asteroid and then maybe on the side of it, and that would kind of break up the symmetry of it. So what we should do is kind of look over our options here and see what we want. I'm going to maybe, let's see here. I kind of like that one right there. It already has some rocks kind of like built into it, which is kind of nice. I kind of like that. Why don't we take both of them and just desaturate them all together? And let's maybe flip it this way instead, like this, because that way the weight's at the top and makes a nice little bottom there. Let's go ahead and place this just right on top of this. I kind of noticed that the styles are a little off here. So the way to fix that is you notice that the contrasts in this are much more obvious than this one. So a couple options. You can either bump the contrast on this one to match better, or you can drop the contrast on this one to match better with the line work of that stamp. So it's up to you, right? Contrast is really helpful to diminish some of the line work because sometimes the art styles just don't match together. You'll have to make adjustments. So let's go ahead and put a kind of an asteroid kind of thing here. This kind of represents like maybe a little tower that's at the top here. And then from there, we want to create some kind of installation. So you know what? There are some really nice pieces in dwarves that we could use. For instance, these, let's see, I think these right here, like this right here, there are these pieces that are kind of, they look like they're meant to be attached to a mountain. So it might not be a bad idea to also add them maybe to the asteroid itself to make it look like you can go inside of the asteroid. So we'll go ahead and drop the saturation down. So now you kind of have this little tower that kind of leads, this little door that kind of leads into it. I think that's a good step right there. Let's also create, let's maybe use some pillars to kind of create some things attached to the side of it. So I'll desaturate this. Let's put a couple like that, and then another one like this maybe. I'm not sure. We'll have to play around with it a little bit to see what works best. Not sure if I want to have one attached like this. We just kind of take a look around and see what it looks like. You know, that kind of looks okay. I'm not sure. We'll just keep playing around until we find something that looks good. Okay. I don't think any of those are going to work out well, so we'll have to just keep looking here. Oh, you know what? I got an idea. If it's a mining asteroid, what are they mining, right? So why don't we put some crystals on the mining, on the asteroid itself, so that it looks like that's what they're mining? That kind of makes sense, right? We can use these crystals right here, I think, but maybe we should change the color of them. I'm not sure what looks best. Let's maybe just put one down and change the hue and see which one works best. Oh, you know, I love purple so much. It's really hard to say no to that. So why don't we just kind of place some crystals? And the way that I'm going to place them is I kind of want them to match in with the line work of the rock. So as I'm kind of placing them, I'm going to be careful to make sure that they are nicely placed carefully on the rock itself. Let's also place one behind as well, like this, to give it a sense of extra depth here. We'll bring the brightness down so it looks like it's behind. copy and paste another one right there. There we go. So now we have kind of some crystals there. That kind of makes sense. Okay, let's keep going here. We're going to add a couple more things to it. We want to add a couple more stuff. Let's see here. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Kind of like that, though it looks like it has... Looks like it's on the ground, though. Not really a fan of that. I mean, it could put it maybe on the side, like this, to kind of give it this kind of feel. I kind of like that. We could put that there. Let's maybe add another one like in the back. Right here, like this. I think that looks good. Okay, we'll keep going. There's a lot more stuff. There's a nice little arch right here. I kind of like that. That might work. We considered maybe doing something with that. I'm not sure. Always worth giving it a shot. If it doesn't work out, then we can just get rid of it. Put some fire. It'll look like a turbine or something like that. Oh, I like that idea. That's a cool idea. I don't have any problem with that at all. Super cool. Great suggestion. Let's go ahead and put that underneath there. And you're right. Some kind of propulsion mechanism would be kind of nice. Like it's an asteroid, so it's meant to travel, right? So, and giving it some kind of propulsion system would make it easier for it to travel, right? What we should do is maybe consider like maybe rotating a little bit so it kind of looks like it is kind of in space. It is orbiting. There's no real up and down in space, right? There's no up, there's no down, there's no left, there's no right. So your space stations or whatever it might be aren't going to be perfectly vertical like this. You might want to consider rotating them this way or like this. That's up to you, right? So we'll add that there like that. And then what I will do is I will also use those cool little things like this as well. So let's maybe put that just underneath like this, and we'll change the color as well. Ooh, I do like the pink. That looks nice. Add a nice little kind of like pink little exhaust right here, so that way it kind of looks like it can adjust. And we should add a couple more. Like it's a giant structure, so we should add a series of vents that can control like its movement. So what we should do is maybe take the shield right here and we'll make it black, and we're going to make it look like a hole that's in like an exhaust hole. And I'll kind of put one like right there. I'll copy and paste and put another one like maybe like right there like that. And then these are going to act as like adjustment. So that way it can rotate if it needs to. Like one can go right there. We'll copy and paste and put another one like that. And now you have these a series of ways for the ship to kind of rotate and move around and stay balanced, right? The other thing we should do is just add in a couple light sources, right? We always add in a light source or two. So let's go ahead and place that one down. Let's make sure we get the hue right. In fact, I kind of like blue. Blue works well with purple, so why don't we just kind of keep that? I don't really see the point in not, so we can just copy and paste. I don't generally put the light in every single window, but you can. That's up to you. We can also switch these to a different color if you want. And we might do that. So first, let's just kind of place down the light sources and just see what they look like. I do like blue. I do think that works, but I don't think it hurts to also play around with the hues and just see what looks good. Oh, green looks cool. I like the blue. You know what? I think I like having a different color. Instead of just having a two-tonal color, you have gray, which is a neutral color. Cool little trick here. Gray and white and black are neutral colors. So whatever other colors you add to them, they're going to complement them because they're not, because gray is a neutral color, some color theory there. Purple, any color is going to work with gray, white, or black. So that's why I kind of desaturate a lot of these stamps so that way I can do a tri-color or a two-color or two-tonal color scheme. It just works out well that way when you do that, okay? I think overall that looks good. We'll go ahead and create group. In fact, we can add a couple more things to it. I think what I should do is add some wires and stuff, just like I added with the colony there. So what I can do is just take this, we'll go with that black stroke again. And then this time I'll probably just have some strings that kind of like attach like this. Let's maybe have some go attach like to this. Let's maybe have some exhaust pipes kind of going down into there. Let's maybe have one going down here like this. Let's have one in the back like this where you can't see. like that. There we go. Much better. And now you kind of have that feeling. And what we can do is we can add maybe even like an antenna array at the bottom, kind of like this. There we go. So we have this nice array. Let's go ahead and push that down a layer so it's kind of underneath. There we go, like that. And now we have this nice array like that. We'll go ahead and create group, and we'll call it mining asteroid. There we go. And then just rotate just like that. And now you have this nice mining asteroid that you can now use. It's kind of rotated. I'll maybe rotate it this way. I don't know. I'll maybe rotate it that way. I think that looks good, just like that. Okay. So really, making the sci-fi stuff, as you can tell, it's not ideal that you have to make your own sci-fi points of interest, but you can do it, and it's a great challenge. It makes it, I think, the best way at kind of getting better at using the tool and getting better at art in general is just to challenge yourself. Even if you don't like the results of what you create, like let's say that you made a space colony and you don't like it, that doesn't matter because you've learned something. You've figured out what stamps work and don't work. You figured out you're developing a style as you're making mistakes, and you're seeing what stamps work together and what don't. So if you have the free time, go ahead and challenge yourself, make these kind of things. It's always going to make you a lot better at using the tool and be more creative when you do it this way. So kind of important to kind of remember that. All right, it is 4:21 and we have done almost every single one of the prompts. We skipped out on these two right here, the space station and the outpost. So I'm glitching out a little bit. See how those glitching like that? Now, this is good. I'm glad that it's glitching out. Whenever this happens, it's not a problem. Just make sure that you go and save and then refresh the page. Okay, I'll go ahead and refresh it so you can see that nothing strange happened. So I'll quickly refresh the page like this, and we'll let that load up, and you'll see that it didn't affect the map. Nothing broke or anything like that. Sometimes it glitches like that, and generally what that means is that you've just had the tab open for too long, and you probably just need to save and refresh the page. So don't panic. Just save the map. If it doesn't let you save, by the way, there's total ways to fix that. If you go up to this hamburger menu up here, there's a way to save as an offline backup like this. It will save the offline backup, and then we'll go ahead and save that. So I have that backup. And then when I go back to the catalog, or not the catalog, but when I go to my maps real quick, and if I go up here, there's a load offline backup. And then I'll go ahead and just grab that backup, choose the backup file, load, and then it should load that map for you. So if you get stressed out, if you're not able to save, you can do offline backups. If it is going to save, great, just save and refresh the page. I recommend refreshing the page just a couple times, just so that it's nice and refreshed. So it's not too difficult. Don't stress if things just don't save. Just do that offline backup. All right, so I think this style was fairly popular. So I think next month we'll just do a part 2, and we'll do the outpost, we'll do the space station, and then we'll do the others that if you guys have suggestions, like maybe we want to make like an orbital cannon, maybe we want to make a shield generator. It'd be cool to make things like alien spaceships, alien weapons. All of those things are super cool. So we'll probably be able to cover every single one of those. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for bearing with me for another half hour. I will see you all tomorrow. There is a Discord world map workshop that's going to happen. That's going to be at 3 p.m. PST. There's going to be some ground rules about the stream. So I'll make sure to post the ground rules about the stream, what it's about, and make sure that you bring your world map projects, because in a part of it, we will be going over people's or users' maps and show them kind of how to put it together. And I do believe there will be other team members as well from the art team, devs. So it'll be nice to kind of have a full house. So I'll see you all hopefully tomorrow at 3 p.m. PST for the World Map Workshop. All right, please stay safe and healthy, and merry map making. Auf Wiedersehen, everyone. Bye.